This is my 1970 Alfa GTV. It's been a while since it last appeared on the channel, about 4 months to be exact. Since then, I've really changed my mind about what I wanted out of this car. Originally, I was going to build a rat rod and leave it primary grey with all the rust on it, but after seeing a few cars online, decided I want to restore it back to its original factory color of yellow ochre. So that means removing the barn fine patina and getting it down to bare metal, mostly through a process of wire wheels, orbital sanders, sanding discs, and phosphoric acid. Along with that, I also started repairing the rust on the A-pillars and in the floors. I replaced quite a bit of the front of the inner and middle sill on the driver's side and got everything ready for the outer sill replacement. All of that brings us to where we are now, trying to fit the outer sill onto the car for in its final position. I did a lot of reading about these sills, and anyone who's owned a 105 coupe or worked on one knows that trying to get the doors to fit right and to shut right is very, very difficult. There are a lot of things that make that, tricky. Part of which is it's a really long, heavy door on tiny hinges that wear out fast. So if you get the hinges right, quite a lot of this stuff, the fit and closing problems you have do tend to be sorted out. I've seen a lot of cars, and I've owned cars that have slop in the hinges, and people tend to set the height of the door with the striker plate. So every time you shut the door, the striker plate has to lift it up, and that is a recipe for loads of trouble. Quite a lot of what I've read said that the final position of your sill, you really have to put the door seal in with all the channels to make sure that the height of your sill isn't too high, so that your door's not going to shut and it's not going to crush the seal. From what I've experienced here, I'd say that although, yes, that is true, that trim panel where the seal goes in, that height is more determined by the inner sill. So if you're doing like the full sills on this car, then yeah, you really got to make sure you just put the seals in while you're doing all of that. But if you're just doing the outer sill, there's not that much adjustment. You can't really move that trim panel up and down as much as you'd like, or you can't even move it in and out, because there's a lip that runs along the inside of here that it trips, that it goes over. And if I wanted to move that panel in, then the sill would have to go in as well, and then it wouldn't line up with the bottom of the door or the fenders, and that would be an issue. So I really don't have any adjustment on this, really. I'm just going to make sure that I get a good consistent gap on the bottom, and then it lines up at the front and the back of the doors. That's about all I can do. I can't make huge changes here. So that's what I'm getting stuck into now. Right, so the sills are now on both sides of the car, which is pretty cool. This is my first time doing this repair with these repair panels, and yeah, I'm actually really impressed by the quality and how easy they were to fit. These panels come from Classic Alfa, and I definitely recommend them. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fit the seal channels as well as the door seal to see how everything fits together now the sills are welded on. So I'm going to have to drill some new holes for these guys because I filled up all the existing holes all the way around so I can make sure that I get holes that match the trim, the channel seals, because these are not the original ones from this car. I've actually got a whole bunch, I'm just picking the best ones. And I've got to drill some holes, and I'm going to rivet this in down. I'm going to rivet all the seals in for now. So the GTV now has sills on it. Sills and door seals and doors and all that. It's been a bit of a process. The passenger side door actually opens and shuts really nice. It doesn't take very much effort at all. That's really how I want the doors. It could be a little bit better, but that's not bad. The driver's door though, even when I open it like that, I can feel there's a lot of pressure on that seal. And it doesn't like to shut very well with just like a gentle push. You've really got to shut it. That's how 105 doors usually are. And like I said before, you can really feel the pressure on that seal when you pop that. There's not that much you can do about moving this unless you've taken the inner seal out, which I haven't done. So I don't really have much variation on that. And I would really like to get these doors shutting properly, because that's just going to annoy me. That is not up to standard really. And the fit of the door is actually really nice. There are some things that I'd like to do possibly to the doors themselves to get them to shut better. And I think it's mostly along the bottom here that is just being absolutely squashed to death. And right, so I think I've done just about all I can without going into major modifications to get the doors to shut right. I'm pretty happy with where the seals are. Passenger side door shuts really good. Driver's door, yeah, it takes a bit of a firm shut to get it to close properly, and that's fairly standard for 105 coupes. So I'm not entirely sure what to do about that, but I do have some ideas, and maybe in a future episode we'll get around to that. As things are now, I'm actually pretty chuffed with the progress I've made in this episode. There is no more rust in the sills or the floors or anywhere like that. So, yeah, I would say this has been a pretty good episode. It's been a bit weird having a whole episode where I've taken nothing apart. All I've done is put stuff back together, which is weird in a good way. It's a good direction for the channel. I think I want to try and keep this up for as long as I can. We'll see. Yeah, I'm going to leave this here, but I've still got a lot of work on these sills, just cleaning up the welds and stuff like that. It's a little bit untidy. Maybe got a few more welds to add. I'd like to get this really nice and clean before I put the fenders on. I want it to look really good. And also I don't want any rust to start happening down here again. There's like so many stacked layers of metal. Any moisture gets in there, it's just going to cause rust. So I'm going to have to sort that out. Anyway, this is going to be an episode, so I'm going to leave it here. And thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you again in 5 months. Bye.